Okay, good evening everybody. So let us start our class with a review of our schedule. So far we have completed our review of 1321 course content, and you have finished quiz 1 and quiz 2 as well as the syllabus and policy quizzes, right? So anybody has any question about a review topic? Did I miss something that was important or you did not understand? Okay, so now let us start our journey actually for this course, actual journey from object-oriented principle. Okay, so the term object-oriented programming principle, the term object-oriented is related with object. Okay, so what is an object? In general, okay, everything in this world is an object. Okay, some objects are visible, some objects are not visible. Okay, for instance, a computer is an object. As a human being, I am an object. Okay, my legs, my hands, my eyes, these are individual objects. Sometimes some small objects create a larger object. In that term, the whole universe is an object. Okay, so we are familiar with many objects. Okay, for instance, a pen is an object. A pencil is an object. So in this world, if I say two pens, that means two different objects. That maybe those two pens are of same kind, same company, same color, same price, but at some point with some attribute, this object will be different from each other. For instance, in terms of position, its position on a table or anywhere. You cannot put a pen within another pen. Then since it may be possible, but there will be two pens. Okay, if you put two pens side by side, these two pens will be different in terms of their position, even slightly. Even there are some objects in this world that are not visible but powerful. For instance, Ethernet on the internet connection, right? Our mobile connection, our internet connection. If we do not have our internet or Wi-Fi connection for a minute, we realize that, right? We realize that something wrong. Even that is not visible, but that is powerful. Okay, so in this class, we will discuss object-oriented principles, okay, in terms of programming. So then the question is, what is the concept of object orientation or object in terms of programming? Okay, so far I gave you some examples of objects, even visible or invisible. Those are real life objects, maybe not related to programming, but in programming area there are objects we will say, for instance, a variable. So everybody knows that we declare a variable like integer type, float type, double type, boolean type. Those types are built in the compiler. So we don't need to too much, except just we say int x. So x becomes an integer type variable. But as we know, those primitive data types, integer, float, string, they may be Boolean. Those types contain only a particular type of data. For instance, a Boolean type contains only true or false. A string type contains maybe true, false, and all of the stuff. A group of characters enclosed within double quotation. But in sophisticated or real life programs or application, we need to declare our own type. For instance, so everybody here in this class except me, you are student here, right? So when you are admitted to the university, so you become a student. So as a student, you have some attributes. Okay, those attributes have made you distinct than other people outside the university, like who are working in a store or who are not student, who are not admitted, who are not registered, right? So you know that you have your name, you have an ID for the university. Okay, by that ID, you are anybody is able to distinguish you or detect you or identify you as a student, right? So our goal will be to declare our own type. For instance, a student type. A student is type, as we say, when you say student, that means we realize that and we understand that this student has a name, this person is a name, and this person will take some exam or test, and he will get some grade or points, and he will have his student ID or other attributes. Okay. Similarly, we can declare another type as a teacher or as an instructor type. So then the declaration of a student type has some advantages. One of the advantages is that when you declare a type, when you create a type, student, then as many instances as you create of that student type, all instances will have those default attributes. That is the concept of class, declaring a class or type. So for the built-in types, integer, float, double, boolean, we do not need to declare or define or create our own type. Not create, actually define our own type. But as we know that there are limitations of those integer types or built-in types, so we will use those built-in types in order to develop or make a compound type. That is called, we will call a class. Okay, so the class is the foundation of object-oriented programming. Okay, so a class, so then what is a class? Class in our real life, we have many kind of classification, like classification of animals, like trees, human being, non-human being, right? Like living being, like non-living, the items which have sense, and some items do not have sense, like chair, table. Okay, these do not have sense that we realize. It may be that these items like chair, table have some sense. Like maybe after 100 years it will be invented that chair or table, these have sense, right? Maybe that, but so far we realize that chair, table, like board, and then these do not have any sense or life. But as a human being, we have our own sense, and live. Okay, so we can classify our types, object types, in some classification. So we will come this in an actual program. So in our tonight class, I will start with the object-oriented principles. So the good thing is that I believe everybody knows about some kind of object-oriented concept, because you knew that in your previous class and from the beginning of this class for the last 2 weeks, we have been discussing about class and object time to time, right? So this term will not be completely known to anybody, I believe. But if anyone has any issue understanding this concept, please raise your hand. So unless you understand this foundational or principal, object-oriented principal concept, it will be hard for you to understand the later chapters of this course. Okay. I believe we went through. Okay, I believe we went through this, but let us go through again. So lecture 5 is object-oriented programming review. Okay, so we will identify classes, object, and then we will go through that, like static members, class relationship, this operator, and method and testing. Okay, so let us start from here. Okay, can anyone please help me to read aloud this paragraph? You want to help me? Yeah, read aloud. Yeah, go ahead. Just read aloud.
The user must be allowed to specify each product by its primary characteristics,
Okay,
including...
hold on. Yeah, there are some words here are circled, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then there are some not circle, actually oval. Okay.
Continue.
The characters
Including its name and product number. If the barcode does not match the product, then an error should be generated to the message window and entered into the error log. The summary report of all transactions must be structured as specified in section 7.a.
Okay, thank you. So we want to identify some potential classes over here, from here. Okay, like for instance noun, and we want to identify some noun and some adjective characteristics of noun. Okay, or sometimes more specifically we want to identify some collective noun. Okay, that define a group of similar things. For instance, here see the words within oval, it says user, products, characteristics, name, product number, barcode, product, error, report, transactions. These are noun, right? You know that, right? Okay. So sometimes these nouns actually are object. These are the object. Okay, then when we say a group of objects or a collection of similar objects, if a term identify or mean a group of similar objects, then we call that as a class. Okay, for instance, if we say student, okay, student in general word. So if I say student, then in general a kind of people, those kind of people who register in a university or college or a school, and they study and they appear for exam, right? Okay, and if we give a concrete example of a student, like for instance, John is a student, right? That means John has those characteristics, those are common for a student. For instance, if we say flower, okay, will be a class, because by the term flower we mean that something that will be looking nice or that will give up a good smell. Okay, and if we say a rose, right, then a rose is a specific kind of flower. Then rose will be an object or an instance of the type flower. Okay, so the good way to remember which one is a class and which one is an object is that just remember the word. An object is visible, maybe visible or touchable, or visible, in general visible, but a class is not a visible, class is not visible. But so instance, if I say flower, right, flower is not visible. If I say student is not visible. But if I say John is a student, John is visible, right? So a class, for instance, if we say flower, a flower is a type, it is not visible. But if I say rose, a rose is visible, right? Sometimes we can classify a class more in depth, to make more segregation or more classification. For instance, if we consider rose as a higher or broader type, then we can say there are different types of roses, right? Like pink color rose, red color rose, white color rose, maybe black color rose. So if we say a rose, black color rose is a type, then maybe there are different black colors. Like someone with larger size, smaller size, will be different in terms of leaves or smell. Okay, so those are called subclasses. We will discuss those subclasses as well as. Okay, so in general, what does a class contain? A class contains some variables, and variables are used to define the attributes of those variables. For instance, here we say user. Okay, the user is a class. Maybe John is a user, me will be a user, you will be a user if you go to a store. Okay, and if say product in general word, okay, this is a class. If we say a specific product, for instance a pen or a book or some grocery items or some milk, that will be an object. Okay, and every class contains some variables that are used to hold the characteristics or features of those variables. Okay, and for instance name, if I say product is a class, and then a product, for instance milk is a product, milk has a brand name and it has a product number and it has a barcode, it has price and expiration date or producer name, something like this. Okay, so in order to hold the values of name, product name, barcode, producer name, we need to use appropriate kind of variables within the class, so that we can hold those actual values of those characteristics in terms of instance, actual object. We will go through this with a live program, then this will be clear. Okay, so if a class in general contains some variables, okay, that are used to hold data. Okay, for instance, a student has a name variable, needs a name variable as an ID variable. Okay, and when we declare or when we register a new student, every new student has his own name, and every new student gets his own ID number, right? Maybe two or more students may have same name, but all students will be different in terms of the combination of all characteristics. Like in terms of the combination of name, ID, date of birth. We know that IDs in general, IDs are unique, right? So IDs are distinct. So in terms of ID, we can identify students differently. Okay. So for instance, if we do not use ID, then we can combine two or more characteristics in terms of, for instance, name and father name, mother name, date of birth. In terms of combination of these characteristics, all of the students will be different somehow, right, from each other. But we know that we use some primary keys, for instance ID, in our database in order to create a different record, student record. So it's easier for us to identify a student distinctly using ID that we say. Okay, here is an example of a class. We will come shortly in a live program how to create a class. So for instance, this is a class, okay? So class name is a vehicle name. So if we say vehicle, okay, vehicle has different, there are many kinds of vehicle, right? In general, so you cannot see a vehicle. You can see a car, you can see a truck, or you can see a bike. All those are vehicles, but in general, the term vehicle is not visible. It's a concept. Okay, so a class is a term. This is not visible. Okay, so we know that a vehicle will be a class. So a vehicle, each of the instance of a vehicle will contain this, at least these characteristics. Like it will have some doors, maybe 2 doors, or 4 doors, or at least 1 door, right? And when it runs, then it will have speed, maybe maximum speed or current speed, and it will have color. It may have more other attributes like brand, make, year, model, etc. Okay, so our goal is to understand a vehicle class with these like 3 attributes. If we understand a vehicle class with these 3 attributes, then we will be able to add more attributes. Okay, so let us understand from the beginning of a class. So then a class, when a vehicle, a class here is a vehicle name, vehicle. So when a vehicle contains some attributes, that in the definition of a class, I said that a class contains some so a class contains some variables and at least one method in general, okay, to access the values of those variables. So here this just run method, it is empty. So that it's like a regular method. How do we know this is whether this is a method? When you see after a name a group of parentheses, a pair of parentheses, then it is a method. You may have something within parentheses or not. If we have something within parentheses, then we say those arguments. Okay, so run has a pair of parentheses, right? This is a method. So then after a method, it has a body enclosed by curly brackets. So here the empty method body is empty. Okay. we will use this run method in order to implement vehicle instance. For instance, then if we want to buy a vehicle, right? Definitely we will buy either a Toyota vehicle or a Honda or a Subaru or SUV, right? Any kind of vehicle, right? Any kind of car. So in terms of those, and all of those vehicles will have these attributes. Okay. So then the concept when we let me go back here. The concept of declaration a class is that a class will have some access modifier like public, and it contains a class keyword in all languages, and it has a name. Okay, then a class is contained within curly brackets. This is the starting of the body of the class, and this is the ending of the body of the class. And a class contains some instance variables and some member variables. Okay, and whole part of this call is class body. Okay, and when we declare a class one time, we need to declare a class just one time. We need to develop a class just one time. Then once we develop a class, we can declare or we can create any number of instance of that class. So an instance of that class is called an object. Like if we say integer x, like for instance we say double length, here since double is a built-in type, so we will tell this length as a variable. Okay, but if we say rectangle, here is rectangle my class name, we say rectangle my rect, this is my object name, equal to, we need new operator. In most of the programming languages we use new operator. We use new operator to create an instance of this type. What is the type here? Type is rectangle. And what kind of instance is rectangle instance? Okay. So here is after rectangle we see that there is another parenthesis, right? This is constructor. Okay, constructor is used to create or instantiate an instance of a class. So now we understand that what is a class. A class is a broader concept, is a type, and an instance of that type, of class type, is called an object, right? So here you can say object is a variable, but object is not a variable actually. The difference between a variable and object is that a variable contains one kind of simple like primitive data. Like for example, everybody knows here that there are compound numbers and there are prime numbers, right? For instance, 3, 5, these are prime numbers, right? And but 15, 30, these are non-prime number, right? Compound number, right? Because within 30 we have 3 and 5 in some combination of multiplication, right? So when you say an object, that means you will understand that this object has some kind, a combination of 2 or more like primitive variables within it. Okay, for instance, a student, if we say student, a student has a name will be string type, an ID that may be an integer type or string type, okay, a phone number or a social security number that could be another type. Okay, so that a student in general has a combination of all of those types. Okay, now what happens when we declare a variable of a class? In general, we said that we will not call variable of a class, but initially we are telling variable because we are familiar with the term variable. but we will say an object. Okay, try to say it an object. So what happens when we declare an object of a class? Then it will happen was that it will take place in memory, for instance, like this. So if we say class, if we have a class and then if we declare object 1 and object 2, these object 1 and object 2 will take different place in computer memory. And when we assign value of this object, object 1 and object 2, so whatever value we assign or access or modify for object 1, all those access or modification will go in this place. And when you modify the object 2, you assign the value of object 2, you modify it, then this value will go in this place. By this way, an object keep the different place from another object in computer memory. And those are objects are this way, the objects are not mixed up. Okay. Sometimes we say reference. In our terms, you will say, especially when you use string, you will use the terms, lot of terms with reference. So there is a basic difference between an object and a reference. A reference means a representative. Okay, for instance, when you say rectangle R1 equal to new rectangle, when you use new operator, then this will be an object. And then this object will take place in memory. Okay, and when we say rectangle R2 equal to R1, here R2 is a reference because we have not used new operator here. So a reference works as temporary basis or as a representative. Like for instance, so university has in every department has a chair, right? A department chair, right? If the department chair is sick or out of town, he may refer someone to work for him or her, right? The chair. So in that case, the second person is the representative. He may do the daily routine work of the chairman, right? Whatever assigned to him. So, but the difference is that as soon as the chair comes back, the representative will be gone. In general, right? If he does not go or she does not go, then there will be a conflict. Right? So, a reference, so what is the difference between a reference? So, a reference does not have its own identity. Because it does not, he has his own, is not created with his own new operator and with his own memory place. It does not have its memory place. Okay? A representative does not have a office. For instance, a chair has an office. But if someone represents for the chair, he might not have his office, another office, but he will use the office of the chair. So the difference is that when you change the value of the actual object, then the values of the reference object will be changed. So for instance, here R2 is referring to R1. If you change the length and breadth of R1, then the length and breadth of R2 will be changed accordingly. Okay. So then, now there is a question that how objects communicate with each other. Objects communicate with each other through message passing. As a human being, as I told that, as a human being, I am an object. And you are an object, right? So how do I communicate with you? Through message passing, right? If I say, what is your name, please? What is your name? So I asked you, what is your name? You replied me, Michael, right? So this is a two-way message communication. This is the way, as a human being, we communicate each other, right? Similarly, similar way through message passing, okay, through the methods, calling methods, object communicate with each other. We will see this in a live program, okay? So then the static, let me see what are the steps here. Then we will go static modifier. So I will discuss static modifier later, not today, because this is a concept terms, segregation. Just I'm going through these slides. Let me see what are those. Okay, so we have 31 slides. So far we have gone through 10, okay? So 31, we will go through 31 remaining slides later. So far we have discussed the first 10 slides. Now let us go through a live program. So can anyone remember where we left in our last class? What happened? Okay. Okay, so far I remember I pushed my code on my GitHub account. So if I go to my GitHub account, github.com. So this is the project, right? We are working on CSE1322S section 03. We are working for it, right? For instance, I have pushed my code. I have pushed some code here. For instance, if you go to the array, you see array programs, then searching algorithm, and there are sorting algorithms. I pushed this code. Okay. Now, so everybody knows how to get this project. How to get this project in your own computer? How to clone this project and how do we get this project? Everybody knows? Okay, if everybody knows, then fine, but I will go through just one time. I will not go through second time, okay? So I will show you how you will get this code in your computer, okay? So this is the project actually, section 03, right? This is the project. Let me delete this. For instance, let me assume that you do not have this project in your computer. So let me delete this project. So everybody please give attention. So how do I delete this? So I will do right click and then I will click on delete. Then if I click on OK, then this will not be actually deleted. Actually it will be removed from my workspace, but still a copy will remain on my hard drive. But if I select this one, delete project content one disk, then the entire project will be deleted from my computer as well as. So this using this one is risky, but we need this to delete the entire project from the computer. So then how do I do usually, and I do recommend you, so that before you delete something from your computer, so please make sure that you keep a backup copy in case you need it. So how do I create a backup? Just whatever I want to delete, I just open that folder, and then it's very simple for me. Just I do Control C. I got copy on clipboard, and then again Control V. Then within a second, I got a copy of this folder. So I have a backup copy in case I delete inadvertently something. I will be able to back that up from my backup folder, copy folder, right? Okay, now I want to delete this one. So once I select this delete, the entire folder will be deleted. Okay, so then make sure that I delete this one. Okay, now let me show you that this folder is actually gone. There is no 1322S03. I have a copyright. Okay, just now I want to clone that project, and I want to import it in my Eclipse. Okay, so then I will go to my workspace, this GitHub account, on this folder, on this I will go to GitHub, then CSITEd experts account, and then I will select, let me show you from the beginning. I will go to github.com, then I will type in / account number, account name, and then I will go to repositories, and if you see this is my repository, then I will click here on the clone or download, and then I will click just here. I will get the copy of this address. Then I will open my command window or terminal. Then first of all I need to do cd command and then go to workspace. Some of you may have Eclipse dash workspace, or whatever name of your workspace you have to type in that here. I do usually simply keep my workspace name as workspace. It's simple. Then I will press enter. Then I will put git space clone, then Control V. So by doing Control V, actually I just, whatever I copied from here, I just pasted that on here. Okay, now I will press enter. So as soon as I press enter, that it took few seconds right to that clone my project. Now if I go to my folder, you will see I got a copy. You see the right away right now, it says 1/22/2019, 7:18 p.m. Now 7:19 p.m. a minute ago, right? Now I have a copy of this. So the difference that last time I did is different from here, because this time you will get a complete project, and you know this is a Java project. So then what you will do here at this time, you will not create a project new, you will import this project. As you know that this is by clicking the file menu of the Eclipse and then import, and then you have to, there are many kinds of a few other kinds of Java projects. Some of them Maven project. This is not a Maven project. So this is a simple Java project. So I will select General tab here, and then I will select existing project into workspace. Yes.
Do you go into what Maven is?
Do
you go into what Maven is?
I can go through Maven is, but the content this course is not related to Maven. But sometime I can show you. Okay, I can show you. Maven is a project that most of the companies use to build enterprise software, a complete software. Maybe if you go to my YouTube channel, there are some Maven project example, but I can show you later. Okay, thank you. So for instance, this is my general project. I will say existing project into workspace, then I will say next. Okay, everybody needs to follow exactly these steps. If you do not follow this, you will not be able to get it. Okay, so then browse, and then if I click browse, then I have to go to my workspace, and then within the workspace I have to select my folder that I just cloned, then I will select folder. If you see, if it is not available in my workspace, then you will get this checkbox checked. Okay, then if you check this checkbox, then you see that the finish button is now disabled, but as soon as you click here, the finish button will be enabled. Just click on the finish button. Okay, give the attention on the screen. What will happen when I click on the finish button? You see that I do not have a CSE1322S03. I don't have it, right? But as soon as I click finish here, I will get it, but it is building my workspace. As soon as the building workspace is done 100%, then it will be linked with my GitHub repository. So this is the project last time I pushed. Okay, this is the way you get this project. So now maybe I want to show you one more thing. So then if you go to the project folder, cd CSE, then tab. I have multiple projects like this way, so this is why I'm doing tab. Okay, for instance, now if you have a project like this, but if you forget who is the origin, okay, where is the origin of this project, then there is a git command to see that. Maybe git maybe remote, I may forget, git remote show origin. I'm not sure, maybe this one, git remote show origin. Okay, got it. So if I give the git remote show origin command this way, the simple command, it will show me where is the location of this project, where is the URL of this project. So for instance, if I have multiple projects on my workspace, sometimes I forget that which projects belongs to which account. Some of maybe your project, some of maybe your friend's project, some of maybe your co-worker's project. So this is a good way you can quickly see by giving git remote show origin command. You can see where is the original project located. So you see the github.com, this is the username CSITEd experts, and this is the, okay, that's it for now. Okay, so after that I will not show how to clone a project. Now what I will do, I want to start a project. I want to start a program with a class, right? For instance, a vehicle class or something. So in general, okay, so then we can create a class. Okay, maybe from next week I will show you how to use C#. I have to download the uploaded version of C# here, Visual Studio here. Okay, so for now let me show it with Java. So a class, okay, so I want to move it. New class. Okay, if I say my class name vehicle, okay, in general all class names start with an uppercase letter. Okay, so if I say vehicle V in lowercase, it is not an error, but it will show me a warning that is discouraged. Okay, and another thing is that is at the beginning, at the top, it is showing me the use of the default package is discouraged. Maybe default package means if I put all of my stuff in one place, in one drawer, in one folder, it will be messed up, right? It will be difficult to find out. This is why we use subfolder or use folders in order to put same kind of papers or documents separately, right? So this is the concept of using package. Okay, so then we can create a package name. In general, a package name demo classes, maybe say. In general, a demo if we say demo classes, in general the package name start with a lowercase number, and then class name start with an uppercase number. Okay, then it's good. Okay, then if I select this main method stuff, then it will be good for me. So once I click here, you see that I have a demo class package created, and within this demo class package I have a vehicle class, vehicle that Java program, and this is the vehicle class. Okay, actually, so this is not, so in this vehicle class I have my main method. All Java programs start with this main method. Java and C# program start with main method. Okay, the purpose of main method is to start the program from this place. Okay, so but if we think that we do not need this main method, we can delete this. Okay, but instead of deleting, sometimes we want to keep it here in my program, but we want to disable it, then what we will select, we do select the program and paste Control Shift and then forward slash, Control Shift forward slash, then it will make this commented. So these are disabled. Okay, so this is the vehicle class. So now let us go to our slide and let us see what a typical vehicle contains. Okay, a typical vehicle contains, it says private int doors, right? Private int speed and then private string color. Okay, so let us add those attributes. I will discuss about private, protected and public later. What happens, the difference between public and private, we will discuss that later. And then for now, let us use private. Okay, do not ask any question about private. Okay, but we know int door. What is here? Doors is a variable, right? Okay, and then say private. What else would you have? Int speed. Int speed. What else would you have? Private string color. String. Okay, in C# you can use S in lowercase or uppercase, but in Java you must use in uppercase. String. String color. Or else would you have public void run. Public void run, and then we have some empty stuffs here. Okay, we will declare this. Okay. So far is good, everybody. So then how do I do I make the alignment? For instance, here you see that I have one tab before this. So in Eclipse it's easy, just do Control A, select wall, then Control plus I, then it will be aligned. Okay. Now actually this is the vehicle class. Okay, and within my main method, now I can use my main method here, or I can use another class to have my main method here. Let me use another class, new class vehicle main, and here I need to use the main stuff. Okay, and let me delete my main from here. I don't need this. So this method, vehicle class and vehicle main class, okay, the purpose of this class, okay, so is just to access this vehicle class. So once we have a vehicle class, then now what can we do? We can create a vehicle instant. How can we create a vehicle instant? We will say vehicle v1 equal to new. We must need new operator, vehicle constructor. This is called vehicle constructor. But remember that in our vehicle method we do not have any method named vehicle. Do we have any method named vehicle? Name method vehicle? In our class we do not have any method vehicle. Actually we do not explicitly required to have a constructor. A constructor, if there is no constructor, then it is implied that there is a constructor, like public vehicle. It is implied that there is a constructor like this. Empty constructor is default constructor. Okay, even I do not have this code. Okay, even I do not have this code, still I can use this method. I can call this method because this empty constructor is or default constructor is default. It is by default exist. Yes.
Does the default constructor define the object class?
I will discuss that later. Good question. When we come to inheritance, ask me. Okay. So then, how do I make sure that whether I have this default constructor, even I do not have? So let us put a sys out simple system.out.println. Let us give a simple command, string, like for instance a vehicle object is created. Okay, so if I find this, so in our program call, if I find this output, then we will believe that this method is called, right? So whatever I have here, so let me run this program. How do I run it? Click on the run button, then click here either or click Control plus F11. Okay, so I do Control plus F11. You see, it shows that the vehicle object is created. Where did this come from? It came from the vehicle class constructor method. Okay, so whatever in the constructor method, what I put here, so actually this was executed when I created an instance of this vehicle class. A constructor is not required to call explicitly, but it is called implicitly. Okay, now let us create another vehicle. Can we have this command? Another vehicle, same name? We cannot have two baby, same name, in a house, in a home, even they are twin. Right? We have to rename them differently, right? Even vehicle 1 and vehicle 2, baby 1 and baby 2. Okay? Then it is fine. So now what happens? Let us create a bunch of variables, bunch of vehicles. One is to be same name, okay? Different name. Vehicle V3, maybe V4. Then what will happen if I run this program? Can anyone please tell me the output? Yes, Michael. Yes, so how many output statement I will get here? Anybody has any doubt with Michael's claim? So how many times I have here? You say I have 4 here. Okay. So even we do not see it that this vehicle object are created on our computer memory. Okay, on a computer memory, but we realize that by giving some commands, right? By giving some output, that we realize that something happened in my program. Okay. Now we just created dummy objects, empty objects, just the skeleton, right? Just empty. There is no this vehicle object V1, V2, and these do not have any. What are the attributes of this vehicle? Door, speed, color. These do not have any those values, right? Because we have not assigned any values. Then the question is, how do we assign values to this? Okay, there are different ways to assign values of this. For instance, if these are if these are public instance of private, then we have an easier way to do this. Let me do this for now. Instead of, we just converted private to public, and then if we have public, then we can say here v1 dot, you see that as soon as I say v1 dot, then it comes with its attributes. v1 dot doors, I will say equal to 4. If I say v2 dot door, then I can say 2, whatever I can define. If I say v3 dot, let me say v3 dot door, you can say 3 door. One door is stuck, okay. There is one door, but there is stuck. Okay, then similarly we can say v1 dot speed. Okay, v1 dot maybe speed equal to maybe 120 miles. We don't need to say miles here, just 120, okay. And v2 dot, maybe speed is higher. Speed is maybe 250 maximum speed. Okay, let me say v1 dot color equal to, I say red. This is string, so I need to put in double quotation. Remember that. And if I say v2 dot color equal to, say white. Okay. Now if I say I have my these variables, right? This some assignment of values. If I say sys out, say v1 dot doors equal to plus v1 dot doors. Can anybody help me? Why did I use plus here? In order to concatenate, right? Okay, that's good. If I say, just let me copy this, okay, and v2 dot door, then I will say v2 dot door. Okay, then now if I run this program, what will happen? In addition to displaying this, it will display these 2 lines. Okay, and say that, you see that I have created v1 equal to 4 door and v2 equal to 2 doors. So this is a naive way to assign values of object. Okay, this is a naive way. This is not a good way, because in order to make it shortcut, I just made this public. If I did not have this public, for instance, if I have this as private, okay, see that as soon as I made this private, I got a cross sign here. It said it's not allowed here. Which one is not allowed here? Just see click on the right side here. It says vehicle color. It says that, what is my error message here? Just hover your mouse over here. It says the field vehicle.color is not visible. What is meant by visible? So the visibility is here means that the color attribute is not accessible globally, publicly. That means what is my color attribute? I have to go back to my original class name, vehicle class. Here, my color attribute is private. If it is private, then I cannot assign it outside. Access is outside of this class. I have to use getter or setter, getter and setter, okay, in order to assign values of this string color. Okay, we will go through this. We will go through getter and setter in our next class. So far whatever we have done, if we just disable these two lines, then we are fine. Our program will run. Okay. So let us recap in a minute what we have learned today. We have got the basic definition of a class, a type, right? A class is a type that we declare is collection. That is a collection of objects, similar objects. Here is a vehicle class. That means vehicle. We are creating a vehicle class that we want to create some vehicle instance. So the vehicles, the instances will be created, will be different, usually different, will not be same in terms of their attributes like door, speed, and color. Okay, and a class contains some variables and some methods in order to access those variables, and a class by default contains a constructor. A constructor, how do I know this is a constructor? A constructor has same name, exactly same in terms of spelling, and exactly this is a vehicle, V is in uppercase and this is in uppercase. Exactly same. A class, when a class contains a method as its same name, then this is called a constructor. A constructor cannot have a return type, even if you cannot say void. A constructor cannot have a return type, okay? A constructor may be private or public. Most of the constructors are public. We will see there are special circumstances that we need private constructor. A constructor is called implicitly at the time when we create an instance of the variable. A constructor is called automatically. Even if you do not have a constructor, then you have an empty constructor. So this is an empty constructor. We may have multiple constructors in our class. That's for now. We will go through next class. We will go through from here in our next class. Anyone has any question? Okay, good luck everybody. Thank you so much.